Well, howdy friends, Brian Flechsig of Mad River Outfitters, the Midwest Fly Fishing Schools, and Mad River Travel. And this past summer, in fact it was August 2021, as we normally do, we made our way to Kelly Gallup's slide in on the Madison River out in Montana. And I'm sure you've seen some of the stuff that we filmed out there this past summer. Kelly was very gracious to participate and help us out. But one of the mornings, we were lucky enough to get out on Kelly's boat on Hebgen Lake. And so that morning, Kelly and I decided to pour ourselves a cup of coffee. Well, Kelly poured himself a cup of coffee right as the camera started rolling.
Sorry. Yeah, wait a second. Sorry.
But we just sat and kind of reminisced about 31 years of friendship and 31 years of working together. And we thought you might enjoy the conversation. So have a look. Kelly, it's been 31 years.
Frightening. Wish you didn't say that because I'm telling a lot of chicks I'm only 35.
Oh.
Yeah, don't do that. 31. It's a long time, man.
31 years. I've told the story many times. I'm not sure if I've told it on camera, but I was hosting my first trip to the Pere Marquette River Lodge. I was working for Streamside Outfitters in Cincinnati. And Tom Ryan. And I had Dick Shaw. Do you remember Dick Shaw's group? I was hosting Dick Shaw's group, and my guides on that trip were Walt Grau, who is, of course, a legend and developed a lot of things that we still do. Charlie Weaver, who's a close friend of both of ours, and Charlie and I went on to record the River Song CD and played music together for years. And the third guide on that trip was Kelly Galloup.
Yes.
And boy,
I couldn't get a real guide that day. So.
Yeah, right. Boy, I still remember all those nights at Edie's Log Bar, or there was
No, you don't.
I remember the early hours. But Charlie and I would play music, and my gosh, I mean, all the people that were there from, John Kessner and Clousing and
Jack Ford, all those guys.
Just what a gathering that always was. And so for many, many years, I was up during salmon season, during steelhead season, and you were, you may not have known it, but, and you may remember this, but right as we were opening Mad River Outfitters, I was at the Fly Tackle Dealer Show with my parents.
Yeah, I remember coming down the stairs and I saw you the first time.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Starting a shop.
And you've always been a sounding board and a big help, and there isn't a time that I can't pick up the phone and say, hey man, what do you think about this? How should I do this? And so the other thing that I wanted to say, without pumping you up too much, which I know is hard to do.
Deb, pan right there. See those rings? The fish are they're encircling us.
Figures.
We're gonna get him. Don't worry.
Figures as soon as we start talking.
We'll get him.
Well, I've said this to our viewers so many times. Modern streamers for trophy trout changed everything. In fact, I just read a book, Josh Greenberg, Rivers of Sand.
Yeah.
Excellent book. But he refers to modern streamers for trophy trout at several times in that book as the book. There was the movie, and then there was the book. That changed our industry forever. Modern streamers for trophy trout, and then what you've done since then with all the patterns, you created an industry. You created an entire segment of the industry that has really allowed me and my company to to make a living. There were times when, back when I first started, streamers were woolly buggers and Mickey fins and
this big.
And now we have a whole side of the fly bin that's dedicated to your flies and articulated flies. And not only that, but the sinking lines. We kind of talked about this in a separate video. Back when I was growing up and first starting in the industry, we would sell 4 sinking lines a year.
Yeah.
And now it's we don't sell as many as floating lines, but we
Right.
sell a lot.
Sure.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of sinking lines, sink tip lines. And it has just created an entire industry, and it's changed the way we fish.
For sure.
Yeah.
Brought a lot of youth into this game. A lot of younger anglers. And not just that, but it was, it was just something a little bit more exciting for, kind of like we were talking earlier about watching these bobbers can get a little boring. It's a lot like dry fly fishing if there's not a hatch.
Yeah.
Back when we were kids, or when I was a kid in the 70s, when you just did that. That's what you did. It's hatch matching was coming on, and it's great if you've got a hatch, but that can get really old if you don't. Kind of like watching the bobber if it's not going down. But yeah, and it brought a lot of, everybody asked me about my contribution. I said, I don't really think about it, that stuff, but the thing that I do think about is guys your age and even younger, a lot younger, they're excited about it. It's fun for them. It's just, it's really, that's the cool thing about it. Like I said, it's helped our business, and it's pretty neat,
The youth part of it is true. My dad, he's a member of one of the clubs there in Ohio, and for a number of years, this goes back about 10 years now, but my dad was really worried, and he would often call me and he'd say, I go to this club meeting and it's all 60s, 70s, 80-year-old men sitting around talking about fishing, and no offense, but most of those guys don't fish very much.
Yeah.
And the truth of it is, you see it in your shop, I see it in my shop, and we see it through, now I'm not on social media, I know you're not either, but our companies are. And I know enough about it to see that the youth is out there, they just don't belong to clubs.
Yeah.
They're going fishing.
Their club is that they're on their phone club.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that, and it's just everybody's. I mean, watching Chris, he'll tell me what some guys fishing in Oregon and what some guys in Michigan, and they're all interconnected, and they fish more than anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, they just fish, and so it's really cool.
I'm not at all worried about the future of our sport. I think the future of our sport, and I think even in the past year and a half, I think we're pretty well solidified. I think.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
What a growth! I mean, the growth in and the number of kids, and I mean 12, 14, 15-year-old kids, and fly tying, and I mean, when I was fly tying as a kid, in the 60s, 70s, and people were like, and I'm in Traverse City, Michigan, right? This is like, this is a hub of fly fishing, and kids were like, "You doing what?" They're doing what? There's about 5 of us that knew what we were.
Right.
Now, if it's ever going to be cool, it is right now. But
no question. No, we see it in the shop. You can see it on social media. And Flip talks about this a lot. But when Flip was first starting, I mean, he and Chico used to take sandpaper and a micrometer and sand out and make their own weight-forward fly lines.
yeah,
And then there's the next generation, and then there's the next generation, and things keep getting better and better. They have better fly tying tools. They have better fly tying materials. Can you imagine the hackle that we started with?
They have YouTube, and they have, I mean, you look at the plethora of tires out there, and you look at the books that we started with, which just seemed inevitable there would be a picture missing.
Yeah.
This happens to be the step I need to know how to do.
Right.
And now you can go to yours and Davey, and I mean, there are so many great tires out there. And hell, I find myself, I like to read, but I'll be sitting there going, okay, I just got to go see what Davey's doing today.
Yeah.
Or the guy from New Jersey or whoever, it doesn't matter. Charlie Craven, I'm like, oh God, how can these guys be so good?
Yeah. And
you go down a rat hole, you can't quit watching, but what a great, or anything. You want to tie a knot, go online. You can find it, right? And so you're right, they've got a lot of, but to see the quality of these kids' ties, I mean, kids come in all the time, do the same at your shop, I'm sure, show you. They come in to me and want me to, hey, what can I do to make this fly better? I go, oh God, it's better than mine.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can't help you there. So you can tell me how you did that.
Take it fishing and let the fish tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's been amazing to see the industry change, and I'm still excited about the future. I mean, I'm probably in the latter part of my career, I would imagine, and although maybe not. I might have another,
I don't think so. I think you got a long time yet.
I might have another 20. I've been at it for, 1990. So it was 31 years is when I started working at Streamside Outfitters, and you probably got at least
a little bit more than that.
A little bit more than that.
Yeah, I started in 79.
79, so yeah.
But I agree with you. I used to guide John Randolph a lot used to be the editor of Fly Fisherman, and we'd always have these meetings about how to get youth in and how to do this and how to do that, and and every time everybody's down on the future of our industry, and I don't see it that way either. I think it's got a good growth, and I don't, not just last year. I see it. There's a positivity to it that's different than it used to be.
Yeah.
It's not just people wishing it was growing and, like, oh, we've got more women in the sport now, like that was some big growth, or, I got 2 new kids in the sport. It's not like that. Everybody now, everybody's. And I agree with you. In the last 3 years has been the first time I thought, yeah, it's here, it's growing, it's not little tiny segments that everybody wanted to pick away and say, this group is fishing more. It just everybody. You stand in the shops and there's no normal. Like everybody talks about the 70-year-old white guy that comes in his khaki shirt. That's not the norm anymore.
No.
It's really cool to see.
It's a different ball game, and it's been fun to be a part of it. I mean, and your contribution has just been, especially in our world, it's amazing. It's amazing to me. You look at the side of that fly bend, you look at the wall up there of the fly lines, and it's Galloup, 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 and so your influence has been monumental and huge, and thank you for that. You've really
been just as much fun for me.
In some ways.
I think somehow we get paid to tie flies and go fishing.
Yeah, in some ways you've really helped me to make a living, so I thank you for that.
It's been my pleasure.
And when you bought the Slide In, I've been coming out here since I was 17 years old, and I've told you this before, I was at the Slide In when it had gas pumps out front.
Oh, yeah.
They sold Coleman fuel and the ingredients to make s'mores.
And Denny Moore stew.
And so when you called me and told me you bought the Slide In, it was almost, like it was meant to be, and I think we started coming out here 1 year after.
Yeah, second year.
And so we're going to be approaching 20 years now. So
everybody asked me why I moved out here, and I just go like this. I don't know. It wasn't easy leaving Traverse City. That was a great place. But man, this is something. And look at we never get a glass day like this. This is pretty cool because we got all these fish feeding.
All right, well, let's shut up. There's fish feeding. Let's go try to get a couple on a dry fly.
That fish you just caught stuck me. He bit me. Yeah, there's plenty of them right around us.
Okay.
Now that we're going to finish up, they all seem to be about 100 yards that way. When you were talking, I'm trying not to get distracted. There's one feeding within 20 feet of us, just going, wow.
So there you have it, friends. 31 going on 32 years, and as we always say on our birthdays, here's to another 30 more, and I certainly hope that that's the case. And we certainly, as always, thank Kelly for everything that he's done for Mad River Outfitters and for the fly fishing industry. I know I say it often, and I hope it doesn't come across too sappy, but he is certainly a good friend, and I wouldn't be where I am without him today. So really appreciate that. And appreciate you all as well. If it weren't for you all being here, we wouldn't be here either. So we really appreciate that. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button. Stay tuned because we've got a lot coming at you. And thanks. If you like this video, hit subscribe. It helps out a lot. And check out these videos. We think you might like them too.